Is Canada quietly severing its ties with the United States? This question arises as Canada embarks on a new path in national defense, making strategic decisions that move away from its traditional reliance on the U.S. The procurement of nuclear submarines, the implementation of advanced radar systems, and a reconsideration of the F-35 deal all point to a shift in Canada's defense policies. A clear and firm message from Ottawa signals a deep fracture in U.S. Canada relations, though this divergence is not driven by tariffs or immigration policies. Instead, it is rooted in a fundamental re-evaluation of Canada's defense strategy, independent of the United States. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, formerly the Governor of the Bank of England, has made it explicit that Canada should not entrust its national defense to any other country. His statement is not meant to be confrontational, but rather a deliberate signal to Washington that trust between the two nations is at an all-time low. This shift is particularly evident in Canada's approach to nuclear submarines. Earlier this month, the French nuclear-powered submarine FS Tourville docked in Halifax, Nova Scotia, merely 300 miles from the U.S. border. However, this was not a routine diplomatic visit. It was a demonstration of France's latest naval technology for Canadian defense officials. Canada is preparing to replace its aging submarine fleet as part of a modernization plan valued at 60 billion Canadian dollars, approximately 42 billion USD. The plan includes acquiring 6 to 12 nuclear-powered submarines specifically designed for long-duration operations in the Arctic, where geopolitical competition is intensifying. Historically, major arms deals of this magnitude have favored American manufacturers. However, this time, France is leading the charge, leveraging its Barracuda-class submarine program and a strengthening defense partnership with Ottawa. This signals a notable shift in Canada's procurement strategy, one that favors diversification over traditional alliances. Beyond submarines, Canada is making another bold decision regarding long-range radar systems. Instead of opting for American technology, Canada has chosen to invest 6 billion Canadian dollars in the Jorn radar system, developed in Australia. This over-the-horizon radar system is capable of detecting aircraft and ships up to 3,000 kilometers away by bouncing radio waves off the ionosphere. This capability is crucial for monitoring the Arctic region in real time. Canada's decision to bypass American defense giants such as Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman underscores its loss of trust in the consistency of U.S. defense commitments. The Arctic is too strategically vital for Canada to leave its surveillance in the hands of an unpredictable ally. Thus, Canada is prioritizing sovereign surveillance, free from external influence, even from its closest neighbor. Another critical aspect of this shift is Canada's reconsideration of its $19 billion contract to purchase 88 F-35 fighter jets from the United States. While the deal was signed in 2023 and Canada has already paid for 16 units, the government is now reviewing the entire contract and may opt for alternative suppliers. Defense Minister Bill Blair has described this as a necessary strategic decision to safeguard Canadian sovereignty. Analysts, however, view it as the strongest warning Ottawa has sent to the Pentagon in over 30 years. Canada is not the only NATO ally reassessing its reliance on American defense technology. Portugal recently canceled its own F-35 procurement, citing concerns about the unpredictability of U.S. foreign policy and its potential risks for NATO unity. Portuguese Defense Minister Nuno Melo emphasized the need to reconsider dependence on a partner whose stance changes too frequently. This raises a fundamental question. Can a unified defense system function effectively when its cornerstone becomes increasingly unstable and erratic? For decades, NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, symbolized unwavering trust between Canada and the U.S. However, behind closed doors, Ottawa is gradually constructing alternative defense systems, including Australian radar, French submarines, and additional European technology contracts. This is more than a shift in procurement preferences. it is a historic restructuring of Canada's defense ecosystem. The unfolding developments in the defense sector indicate that Canada is seriously considering moving away from the American-built F-35 jets. The government is exploring discussions with competing aircraft manufacturers, further signaling the deepening tensions between Canada and the United States. Canada faces a defining decision: whether to cancel the $13 billion F-35 contract and instead align with a European partner. The root of this shift can be traced back to 2017, when the Trump administration introduced protectionist trade policies that strained U.S. Canada relations. One of the most significant disruptions was the imposition of tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and agricultural products. These measures not only inflicted economic hardships on Canadian industries, but also heightened Canada's dependence on a single trading partner, the U.S. These challenges forced the Canadian government to confront a pressing question: can Canada afford to rely on an increasingly unreliable partner when alternative, more stable partners are available? While the F-35 deal was initially seen as a strategic move to modernize the Royal Canadian Air Force, the growing trade tensions have cast doubt on the viability of maintaining such a partnership. The $13 billion deal is more than just a weapons contract. It is a symbol of U.S. Canada cooperation. However, given the current landscape, is it still reasonable for Canada to prioritize its alliance with the U.S. when protectionist policies are causing economic harm? Washington has responded strongly to the possibility of Canada canceling the F-35 deal, warning that such a decision could undermine the special relationship between the two nations. The potential cancellation of the contract would have ramifications beyond defense, affecting industries and shaping public perception of U.S.-Canada trade policies. Specifically, it could reshape Canada's defense, agricultural, and steel industries, which have already suffered due to U.S. tariff policies. Ontario and Quebec, which rely heavily on steel and aluminum exports to the U.S., have been particularly hard hit by these measures. Similarly, Canadian farmers have struggled with American tariffs on key exports such as milk and beef, leading to financial losses and economic instability. A significant portion of the Canadian public supports diversifying trade and defense partnerships, particularly with European nations. Many believe that if the U.S. continues to impose unfair trade restrictions, Canada must seek alternative allies to ensure long-term economic stability and national independence. Canada is not seeking to sever ties with the U.S. entirely, but is asserting that it can stand independently and does not need to rely solely on its southern neighbor. As these developments unfold, the world is watching closely. Will Canada pivot away from its long-standing defense and trade partnerships with the U.S., or will it ultimately maintain its traditional alliances? The shifting dynamics suggest a major transformation in global geopolitical alignments. At the same time, an unexpected player has emerged in Canada's trade strategy: Italy. Despite the vast geographical distance between the two nations, Canada and Italy are forging closer economic ties. With the increasing strains on U.S.-Canada trade relations, Italy has stepped in to fill the gap left by American restrictions. The question arises: is Italy gradually replacing the U.S. as a key trade partner for Canada? The answer lies in the shifting global trade landscape. While the United States has long been Canada's largest trading partner, rising tariffs on Canadian imports have prompted Ottawa to explore alternative economic options. Italy presents a compelling choice, particularly due to the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, between Canada and the European Union. Under CETA, tariffs on many Italian products have been significantly reduced, giving Italian goods a competitive edge in the Canadian market. As U.S. imports become increasingly costly, Italian products are gaining traction, particularly in industries such as food, wine, renewable energy, and advanced technology. Italian exports of high-quality food products, such as wine, olive oil, pasta, cheese, and cured meats, have surged in Canada, surpassing even France as the third-largest food supplier to the country. Consumer preferences in Canada are shifting toward high-quality European goods, further diminishing American dominance in these sectors. Additionally, Italy is expanding its reach in other industries, including food processing technology, high-end consumer goods, and industrial machinery. Beyond trade, Canada and Italy are deepening their collaboration in technology, manufacturing, renewable energy, and cybersecurity. Both nations have prioritized high-tech development, particularly in electric vehicles and battery production, with the goal of reducing dependence on the U.S. and China. Italy's leadership in solar, wind, and hydrogen energy aligns with Canada's renewable energy ambitions, strengthening their economic and strategic partnership. As Canada navigates this new era of defense and trade realignment, the global balance of power continues to shift. The coming years will reveal whether Canada fully embraces its newfound independence or remains tethered to its historic alliances. The world is watching, and the next chapter of Canada's geopolitical strategy is yet to be written. I have shared my opinion, but what do you think? Leave your comment, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. See you soon.